Ahoy there, and welcome. I'm so glad that you are here with us today. Welcome to Level Up Next. So Level Up Next is where we give you a peek into what's coming up next with our educational live content series called Level Up. If you haven't been to a Level Up before, they're super fun. We do deep dives into products, and we help you level up what you're building. We take your application to the next level. So what I want to talk about today, which I'm super excited about, is to tell you about an upcoming virtual event that we have called Level Up with Email, Dynamic Templates and Marketing Campaigns with Twilio SendGrid with the wonderful Sam Agnew. It's happening on August 30th at 10 a.m. Pacific time, and you should register for it. There's this QR code right here. I want you to click that. I want to click that QR code. I don't know what your feelings are on QR codes yet, but I think you should do it. You should register, because when you do, you get access to this awesome thing. And what you're watching right now, though, is a show called Level Up Next. It's like when you go to the movies beforehand, it's like that behind the scenes sort of look of what's happening while you go and maybe you get your snack bar adventure. There's still some time for your snack bar adventure. This is that show, and we are so glad you're here. So what you're going to see about is the level up that's up next. So it's like level up next. It's like a portmanteau. So here it is. So what we're going to talk about. When you register to attend, when you click this QR code, we're going to send you a calendar reminder, which I find super beneficial. And what we're going to talk to, who we're going to talk to right now, is the wonderful Sam Agnew, the presenter here of this. And I've had the pleasure of introducing Sam so many times. And one of my favorite things about you, Sam, is that you are literally a rock star and a developer. So you're like a rock star developer. You literally shred. Your Twitter handle is Sagnew Shreds. So Sam, I have a question that I've never gotten a chance to ask before, because we haven't been behind the scenes. So my question to you, Sam, what was the first song that you ever shredded?
Oh wow, that's a good question. Yeah, I don't even know if I would call myself a rock star, because the bands I play in are I don't play the type of music that gets you big money, but and you'll know by the song I'm about to tell you. So I primarily play in like metal bands, and when I was like 15, like my mom's friend's daughter like gave up on trying to learn guitar, so she gave me her guitar, and then I just kind of noodled around with it, and I figured out how to play "Breaking the Law" by Judas Priest.
Nice.
And I don't know if I would say I was like shredding anything, but it was like there's like that simple riff that's like, so like I kind of just figured that out, and I was like, oh, maybe I can do some stuff with this, and then I just kept on playing constantly until now. So I love playing guitar, and it was just happenstance, picked it up one day, and my brain just kept locking in on it. So here I am. The picture on my Twitter profile is me playing in Peru, because I was filling in on guitar for a thrash metal band called Paralysis for when they had to go do their South American shows. So that was fun. I actually flew directly from there to Signal. That was like 2018 or 2019, but like I flew from Peru to San Francisco for our Signal conference. Luckily, I had one full day in between, so I slept for like 12 hours. But that was quite an adventure.
Nice. That's actually a good shout out. Signal's actually next week, Sam. You're going, right? You're gonna go the virtual event, yeah? I'm gonna go online. I'll awesome. Be here physically, but I'll be tuning into all the talks and stuff. Maybe awesome. I'll be signal.twilio.com, right? Awesome. So that was the first song you shredded. We got some of that going on. What was the first program you wrote? Let's get on the developer side of your life, Sam.
I think the first program I wrote, well, obviously, I say obviously, but it was like, presumably it was a Hello World. But I was like in high school, and there was this like computer technology class that was available. And I was like, oh, maybe if I take that class, I can learn how to make video games or something. And like, I think the first thing other than Hello World, they had us learning C. So like the first programming language other than like HTML, I guess, would be C. And I think it was like building like like a very rudimentary calculator where like user enters a number and then another number and then it adds or subtracts them. So it was something like that, but it was in C, and it was like very hard for my brain to grasp at the time, but probably C is probably hard for my brain to grasp now. So yeah, unlikely first did it, but
nice. The classic. I mean, that's a good one, right? Because you got the functions, you have the inputs and outputs going, you got to show some display, that sort of thing.
Yeah,
that's awesome. That's awesome. Okay, so then, like, what's the most recent line of code you wrote, whatever that is, and you can even say if it's a typo fix, it's also allowed.
So actually, coincidentally, yesterday I published a blog post on the Twilio blog, just trying to get some very fundamental SendGrid content that I noticed was missing, because like whenever you Google like how do I send an email with a CC or a BCC, it's like a lot of the examples we have in our docs cover just the basics, sending to like from one person to one person. So I just published a blog post on how to do that with Node.js last night. So I guess that would be the last line of code I wrote, was just very relevant to this, and that wasn't by design. It was just happened to be publishing a SendGrid post, and now I'm talking about a SendGrid webinar. But yeah, just sending an email with a CC and a BCC was.
Well, BCC is important.
Yeah,
right? BCC is super important. Like, you don't want all those happy birthday replies, right?
Yeah, it turns out with the SendGrid node library, you could just pass it an array in the BCC field of the JavaScript object, and so it's like simpler than the Python library, I think.
Oh, awesome. So hey, actually, I got a question. Let's say I've invented this editor, and the thing is, with this editor, it's awesome. It has every language feature you could ever imagine, but it's only available in one programming language. And Sam, I'm going to make you choose. Which one are you going to pick, and why? Which language?
That is such a specific scenario. I guess, like, hypothetically speaking, if this editor existed, maybe it's like really good for one language, and maybe I would just use it for that language and then use other editors for other languages. But I'm going to assume part of like the licensing agreement for this editor is that I can never write another line of code in any other language. I mean, I guess I would say Python, because that's like my go-to, my weapon of choice. And I think it's a beautiful language. It looks pretty, and you can do a lot of different things in it. So yeah, I would say Python.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's good. They've got such a great community, right? Like that.
Yeah.
Those PyCon. You actually go quite a bit to those PyCons. How many PyCons have you been to, Sam?
PyCon. That's a good question. Let me think about this. I can't think of the exact years. So I know my first one was 2016.
Okay.
Actually, I'm wearing a PyCon shirt right now.
Oh, represent. Nice.
That's the 2018, and that is in Cleveland? That one's the one in Cleveland. Yeah, it says Cleveland right there. So I know I went to the one in Cleveland. I have proof. I have evidence. I think, so the way PyCon does it is they do it in the same city for 2 years, and then they switch to another city for 2 years, which is pretty interesting. I kind of like that, because then it's like the first year you're there, you get a feel for that city, and then the next year you like know all the spots. So I guess I went to 2 of them that were in Portland and 2 of them that were in Cleveland. And then the one this year was in Salt Lake City. I don't think I went to any other ones. So I guess 5. I guess I went to 5 PyCons.
Awesome.
I think
that's...
yeah.
And you always submit a talk, and you end up talking at some of those, right? Like, that's
yeah,
cool.
Yeah. My talk doesn't always get accepted, but I've spoken, I think, 2 of them. Yeah, a lot of the regional Python conferences there's a little bit less competition for those CFPs. So a more sure thing if you submit like Pi Ohio or Pi Gotham in New York.
Right. Yeah. Just go down the street. That's where you're at, right?
Yeah.
What's the coolest? What's the coolest one of those regional events that you've ever gone to? If you had to choose, worldwide, right?
Worldwide. Oh, that's a good question. I would say. Oh, hi, Lizzie. Oh, Lizzie's here on LinkedIn. That's awesome. I didn't know we had LinkedIn in the chat. Pi Ohio. That's not my answer. Pi Ohio was cool and all, but I guess that one's an easy one. Come to think of it, I would say Python Brazil. Yeah, like a while back, I guess also 2016-ish, when we first started, like as a developer evangelism team, we first started experimenting with streaming like coding on Twitch, which like wasn't a thing at that point. I was doing a Twitch stream, and this guy named Guto Maya like came into my stream, and he was like he's this Brazilian Python developer who built this experimental library called PyNES, like PyNES, which like kind of made it so that you can write like old school Nintendo games in Python. It was like really janky, and it probably wasn't very efficient, but you could do at least like rudimentary stuff. So it would like compile your Python to 6502 assembly. So like he and I like followed each other on Twitter, and I was doing a stream about like making it so that my like that was when Twitch Plays Pokemon was like the zeitgeist of Twitch Plays Pokemon was still there. So I was like doing a live coding stream where I was making it so that my stream could play Pokemon. And then he was in on the stream, and then he DM'd me on Twitter afterwards, and he's like, "Hey, do you want to do that talk, but like as a keynote at Python Brazil?" And I was like, "Yeah, that would be awesome." So then I went to Brazil that year, and that's probably like one of the best like developer communities I've ever had the privilege of witnessing, because like they're super tight knit. Like the Python Brazil people, like if you're like a Brazilian Python developer, like your Python Brazil homies are the ones you're like inviting to your wedding. It's like it's such a tight-knit community. They're all really cool. So since then, I've gone back 3 times, or I've gone 3 times total, and it's always in a different city every year. I submitted a talk this year, hoping it gets accepted. Yeah, that would be, I'd say, the coolest conference I've ever gotten the opportunity to speak at.
Awesome, and cool stuff coming out of that stuff too, man. You're a developer evangelist, and like a damn good one. If you don't mind me saying so. I would love for you to on this platform we have right here. How do you explain yourself? How would you explain what a developer evangelist does to somebody who's never heard of it before?
Oh, that's a really good question. I guess it would depend on who I'm talking to. Sometimes, like if I'm just like chatting with a developer and they're like in a casual setting and they're just kind of asking me what my job is like, I would tell them how like, okay, like I work for this company called Twilio, where all of our products are developer products. So essentially I'm like an engineer on the marketing team. So like, you know, I'll tell people like my job is to inspire and equip developers and like to build a bunch of cool stuff with the Twilio APIs, write tutorials and documentation and speak at conferences and do workshops and all that stuff. So really, I just tell people I get paid to have fun, which is partially true. But other than that, yeah, I'm not sure if there's like a right answer to that, because like developer evangelism is such a nebulous job. Sometimes people think that it's like a religious thing because it has the word evangelism in there. So I guess sometimes people will say developer relations, but it's really we're spreading the word of Twilio, I guess. It would be the underlying aspect of what I do.
Awesome. So you're going to be giving a talk, which this QR code for people who are tuning in late. If you click this, you will go to Sam's talk. He's going to be giving a talk about SendGrid. It's coming up on August 30th at 10 a.m. Pacific time. So we've got Python. We've got SendGrid. Now I know one of the things that I love about Python is like this like battery included language, right? So I know that there's mail libraries already in there. So what in your opinion, why do I need? And actually in your, let's go ahead and let's inspire and equip me here, Sam. Okay. What's so rad about SendGrid?
That's a great question. So you mentioned like the Python mail libraries, and I've actually used those like a while ago. I mean, ever since I found out about SendGrid, like back in college, I was just like, oh, I could use that for sending emails. Cool. And the free tier gives you enough so that if you're just like doing a casual little project, that's kind of all you'll ever need. Back in I'm going to go on a tangent here. But when I was in college, like I went to Rutgers, and we had a really vibrant hacker community there. And I used to run the hackathon, HackRU, that we would have every semester. And at one point around Christmas time, the organizing team, we had like a secret Santa kind of thing where we would all like, and that was like one of my first tasks that I was given as like like a very much a newbie to this community. Like the person who ran HackRU before me was like, hey Sam, how about you build like a Secret Santa application? And that was like the thing I used to learn how to like build web apps like with Python and Flask. And the spec that I was given was pretty much like, okay, everyone signs up and then you pair everyone up via email. And I was like, okay, how do you send an email in Python? There's got to be a way. And I found like, I guess like the SMTP library. And I sent out the emails and the code technically worked. Like the emails sent, but it landed in everybody's spam folder. So everyone thought, oh, Sam actually never got around to sending the emails. I never got my thing. Like some people did and some people didn't. So like I thought it was fine because I got mine. And then a couple of other people were like, ooh, I got this person. I'm like, okay, it works. But then there was like a bunch of people who didn't because it just ended up in people's spam folders. Because like, of course it did. It was just like some random email coming like programmatically into your inbox. So Gmail is going to be like, yeah, this looks shady. So it's
more like secret spamta.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good one. So like one of the primary benefits you get for using something like SendGrid would be that like a lot of work and engineering has went into like the back end of it, of making sure that you don't end up in people's spam folders. So like aside from like the developer experience of it, like it is kind of a pain to like send emails with like raw Python. So, you know, you can do that. And you can even like SendGrid has SMTP APIs as well. But like, it's just so much easier to send an email using SendGrid and just like finding the docs and like copy and pasting the Python code or finding the blog post that I wrote. And just like, and we also have like a lot of like utility in there. It's like you can do stuff like adding all these personalizations and custom headers and all that stuff. Like we make it a lot more easy for that. So on the one hand, yeah, you're not going to end up in people's spam folders as much, especially because we give you the opportunity to do things like verify your sender, verify your domain. So like if you add like some DNS records, and that way it's like we know everything's kosher between like the domain you're using to send from. So yeah, there's that. And then also the developer experience of it, where like if you're trying to do something a little more complicated, there's just a lot of utility functions for that. The API is pretty robust. And then also we have stuff like inbound parse, which makes it so that you can receive emails as well. You can programmatically like receive and respond to emails. So that's a lot harder to do in raw Python. I've never done that with raw Python. You'd have to like, I guess, build your own mail server, I assume. Right. I don't know. I've never done it. I've never had to because I just use inbound parts. So there's that. And also, we have stuff like, and this is, I guess, going to segue into probably what we're going to talk about next, which is like what I'm going to cover in the webinar. We also have stuff like dynamic templates, so that you can build your templates of your emails. So that way, like, you're not just sending out like raw text or raw HTML all the time.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, as a dev, I've definitely sent my share of gross looking. Like I'm a backend dev, and like I would never think that I'd be able to make. And email is hard too, right? Because email's like it's weird HTML, right? You have to support so many weird clients and stuff. I could never do that, man. So like I have a hard time even like coloring in the lines, like let alone that. So the talk that you're giving, let's do that segue that you were leaning into. It's on August 30th. There's a QR code there that you can click. Sam, do you click QR codes? You ever use QR codes?
Yeah, I use QR codes.
Like post-pandemic, I'm like cool with it.
If I see what it kind of annoys me that sometimes at restaurants the only menu they have is digital, because it's like, oh, like what if my phone's dying or I have like bad service? It's like that's one example where it's not the QR code's fault. But we also we did a conference in Berlin just the other week where we had a Twilio WhatsApp powered smoothie bar where you scan a QR code and it opens a WhatsApp conversation with the message you send to initiate the conversation. That was a great use of QR codes, because like all the attendees, like seeing the smoothie bar, they're coming up like, how do I get a smoothie? And you just point at the QR code. You just like scan that, and you're good. So yeah, sometimes they're very convenient.
Awesome. So if people were to click this, they're not going to get a smoothie, but they are going to get there you go, you got it. They are going to get, if they click this they're going to register, they're going to get emails. It's for August 30th, and it's a follow-up to one of your other level up talks, by the way. So we have other level up, so twill.io/level up. So follow to your other SendGrid talk, which I love. What's this one on? What's this? Talk about what this one's about.
Yeah, so I guess in this series, this would be level 2. You've leveled up from 1. This is a follow-up to, when did I do that? Was that in March? Sometime earlier this year, I did a level up, a level 1 email where it was just the like basic SendGrid, like an extension of the basic SendGrid demo, where I kind of just walked you through how to use inbound parse and how to send emails with SendGrid, using examples of like, and a lot of times when I just do like simple demos, I'll use like NASA APIs just because they're cool and easy to work with. It's just like you send a GET request and you get some JSON. So I used the Mars rover API to make it so that you can send an email to an email address, and then using inbound parse, it would get your email, send you back a picture of the Mars rover from the NASA API. So that's what I covered in that. It was like pretty much just showing you how to build basic SendGrid apps and how to use like the core functionality of the API. That was another session in which, as I'll relate to what you were just saying, I'm not a front end guy, and I'm not good at making things look good. And that was, some raw HTML in there. So this is a follow up to that, where I'm going to show you how to do things a little bit more professionally. How to not be writing raw HTML in your emails. Not that there's anything wrong with that if you're just doing a quick thing. But in this email, in this webinar, we're going to be covering how to use the SendGrid marketing campaigns product and the dynamic templates. So we're going to be doing something. We're going to be creating a dynamic template to use with something called a single send. So it's like you make like a template in the SendGrid design editor. We're going to walk through all the features in that, how to build something with that, and then how to send it out as like a marketing campaign.
Nice.
And we're going to walk through how to we'll also show you how to use Python to send out emails with a dynamic template, right? Because it's going to be, you just send the template ID instead of,
nice.
It's just a different field you send instead of the HTML content or text content.
Does that mean that some designer could go, you write the code and then some other designer can go change the template without you, if you're just passing the ID? Does it work like that?
Yeah, and preferably for me, if I were working on a real marketing campaign, hopefully I wouldn't even be writing the email at all. Someone on the marketing team would be writing the email. I don't even know what's going on in that email. I don't even know the content. Yeah. I'm writing the code. I'm like, okay, they want me to send an email programmatically. Here you go. Oh, they gave me the template ID. Here it is. But in this example, I'm going to be also the designer and the marketer and the engineer or whatever. And this will be a testament to the SendGrid design editor. I'm not good at making things look good, but the design editor is easy enough to use that you can just kind of drag and drop stuff, and you make a pretty competent looking email, even if you have no visual skills whatsoever, like me.
Awesome. Yeah, awesome. Do you have the so you're doing it's going to use NASA again? It's going to use that NASA API. I love that example. Can you show some of that code, what that is, just so we can get a taste of what? Because
I can do that.
What is it doing again?
So in the webinar, I'll probably be there will be a little bit of NASA APIs in there. I'm going to keep going with the theme. I don't want to spoil anything, but the marketing email I'm going to send out is going to be Mars rover related. But nice. I'll probably also go through a quick refresher of what we covered so far. It's hello class on the last episode. I could show you just the basics of that NASA API just as a fun thing to go over on the stream.
Let's do it.
Yeah, all right, let's go. So here we have, if you go to api.nasa.gov, you can look at all their stuff. You can get an API key here, but I'm probably just going to use the demo key.
Yeah.
Can you see my screen, Craig?
I'm 1 second as I'm just about got it here.
Cool. This is an
there it is.
Take a sip of coffee.
There, yeah, that looks like good coffee. Where's that from?
This is from my apartment, but it was
Oh, delicious.
yeah. So these are the NASA APIs. If you go to api.nasa.gov, they have like a whole variety of space-related APIs. Like, you can get the astronomy picture of the day. Oh, they have an asteroid one. That's pretty cool. I've never played with that before. But they have a lot of stuff in here. One that I like using is the Mars Rover Photos API. And what you can see here, you have access to all the different Mars Rover cameras. You pretty much just give it a query, like a GET request, where you pass in, I guess, what they call like a sol, which is like a Martian solar day. So like you tell like how many days on Mars into the rover's journey you want a picture from. So like in these example queries, this one uses the number 1,000. So that would be like 1,000 Martian solar days into the rover's journey. I have this JSON here, and this is what you're going to get back as a response, right? So you're just going to get like this photos array. Wow, that's 855 photos taken that day. And let's just look at the first one. I guess we'll go 0. All right, yeah. So it gives you a URL of a picture taken on Mars, and all right, this is like must be like the bottom camera, right? You see the wheels and like some rocks and stuff. There's lots of rocks on Mars, and you can use this with like any programming language. So what I like to do, I'll hop over to my terminal and I'll open up like a Python shell.
Okay.
So I'll import requests because I'm just going to be sending a GET request. So you can pretty much and I'm just gonna like print out a random like picture up from that day. So I'll just say from random import choice. Cool. I spelled that.
I love that. So many languages are missing that.
It's like a school standard library. So I guess what I'll do here is I'll just let me go copy and paste this URL. So I'll just like send like a GET request to this URL. So I'll say rover URL. It's probably more than 80 characters, violating the PEP 8.
Hey, you're an IPython. I don't know if it counts.
Yeah, it doesn't count if you're not even in a text editor. So I'll just do some like query parameters. So the Martian solar day, I'll give it a random number right now. I'll just say 1337. That's a good one, right?
That's a good one. Elite.
And then API key, I'll use the demo key for now. I have one, but I don't feel like importing like the environment variable stuff. So I'm just going to make one request. I'm not going to get rate limited here. So that's the rover URL and the parameters. So I could even just like say like a response equals, let's say request.get, and I just give it that URL and the params. Well, I put param. I would want to make that plural, to be honest, but that's okay. And then I'll serialize the JSON, turn it into a dictionary.
Cool.
So that should be something. All right, let's see what we get here. Okay, well, that's the whole JSON, right? So that's the response we get. So I guess now if I want to grab a photo, like I'll look at this JSON. It's like photos, and then like the index, and then image source, img_src. So if I say like photo URL, I'll say equals response, or actually I could do, I imported that choice function, right?
Right.
So choice of response photos, and then image source. That should get me a photo. Let me see what we got. All right, so here's a random photo taken on the 1,337th Martian solar day into the rover's journey. And let's see what we got here. More rocks. Cool. This must be from the bottom camera. You can see the wheel in there.
Yeah.
Those are some.
Do you think is it leaving marks in the rocks with it driving around there?
I don't know.
Like tracks, right?
That could be a track. I don't want to.
Yeah.
This isn't an educated guess, but it looks like probably not. I don't know, but it could be. I'd like to. I'm sure it does leave marks. Like it's probably been like rolling around, like for several years now. It's just been rolling around. There's definitely got to be some like tire marks in the sand on Mars.
Some like Snickers wrappers.
But Mars is pretty big compared to the size of a rover, so it's probably a relatively small surface area of Mars covered in tire tracks. But yeah, that's the API that I used in the last. That's
Super
a lot of
cool.
JSON. That's the API I used in the last webinar, and then pretty much you can imagine we just combined that with SendGrid, right? I would take that image URL and then like use it as like in the HTML content of an email to send via SendGrid. And I'm not going to do that right now because I did that in the last webinar, and I'll do it again in this webinar. I'll probably spend 5 to 10 minutes at the beginning, just like refreshing everyone on the basics of, because like I'm sure not everyone in attendance will have attended the last one. So I want to make them relatively able to stand on their own,
Yeah, absolutely. And the title of this one is Level Up Dynamic Template. So I'm assuming this is part of the dynamic part that you're going to be able to push into the template, right?
Yes.
Awesome.
You can add images. You can add fancy looking text. You can add unsubscribe buttons. It's actually that might be required. Actually, I don't know. You can add
definitely
a whole.
If it's helping you, yeah.
You can add like unsubscribe, like categories where it's like, like if you have like different groups, like this email is being sent to this contact group, so you can unsubscribe from like marketing emails or whatever. Probably in my presentation, I'm just going to do the one global unsubscribe link because I don't want to spend like 2 hours going through all the different stuff. But yeah, you can add contact lists and stuff. There's a lot of stuff you can do, and you'll be seeing a small portion of that in that presentation.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks so much, Sam. Man, I hope that everybody got a good taste of what it's like watching Sam present. It's so fun, and it's Level Up is like this. It's going to be live. You can ask questions because the best time to ask a question is when you need one. And we love you on the Level Up series, Sam. Thank you so much for coming to do this. And remember to sign up for it. And if you want to see Sam's earlier stuff, there is twill.io/level up. So you can find Sam's earlier talk where he goes through the Mars rover thing, and we're going to keep going. We're going to take this to the next level, right? We're going to build your application to the next level. So thanks so much for being here, Sam.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's always a blast.
Awesome. Thanks, Sam. So yeah, everybody. So please make sure that you register, and I'll try to. Sam got it good, like that. Look at that point. Register right there at that QR code. We would love to have you come, and you'll register. We'll send you a reminder email. It's for August 30th at 10 a.m. Pacific time. And also, hey, we have Signal coming up. So Sam and I talked about this a little bit. It's our developer conference, our developer and customer conference. And I would love for you to come. There's a super class. We talk more about messaging. We talk about email, and we talk about Segment, which is our customer data platform, which if you don't know about, it'd be a great thing to attend, and it's free. Signal.twilio.com. Please be there. And we can't wait to see you at the Level Up and see you at the next one of these, at the next Level Up Next. I hope that you got a fun time getting to meet Sam here on a little more personal level than you normally do inside one of these live events. So glad to see you. And we can't wait to see you at these future events, and we'll see you real soon. Thanks for hanging out.